All right, welcome HR Assassins. Today we're going to learn about SharePoint, and we're going to start off real slow. And this is going to be part of quite a bit of videos in a series about how you can leverage SharePoint inside of your office. But before we get started, I really need you to do me a favor. I need you to click that subscribe button so you can follow along and stay up to date with everything that we're putting out. I also would like it if you could check us out on Instagram, follow us on Instagram. And most of you probably already know us from Facebook, but if not, we're also on Facebook. We also just launched our new website, hrassassins.com. We'd appreciate it if you could check that out as well. We've got some blogs that we're putting out there, links to other videos. We're dropping lots of information out there for everybody, but we're building it, right? So just keep checking back. Go check it out. Leave us a comment or something, and then put it in your favorites bar up on Google Chrome. All right, so now that we get that out of the way, we're going to learn about SharePoint. But before we get started too in depth and get really into it, I need you to understand that we are going to be using Army 365 SharePoint. So this is going to be your personal SharePoint site. So you can open up your 365, launch SharePoint, and you can start building along with us as we make this, but you have to understand that this is not going to be something that you want to use in your office, because then you would be the one required to manage all the permissions. And that can just get to be very laborious. So once your organization, and many installations have already done this, they're already using SharePoint 365 for their organizational website. And that's really where you want to build this stuff. And so go get with the 6. Get yourself access to be a site manager for the S1 site, and then you'll really start to see what you can do. This is going to be a kind of a gradual series. We're going to start with something simple like building a SharePoint list. Then we'll move on to visualization products. We'll start to learn how to bring stuff into SharePoint from outside. So, bring in an Excel file that you want to transpose or move the data into SharePoint. We'll start talking about OneNote, how to manage SOPs. Lots and lots of great stuff we're going to be doing on SharePoint. But today we're going to start with low-hanging fruit, something that you can build, work with, and start to experiment with, and start to really see the capabilities within SharePoint. So as you can see on the screen here, I've just got my 365 open, and over here on the left-hand side, I've got this little icon that says SharePoint. Now I've already created my SharePoint site for this lesson and for this series, and I've started to build a couple things in there, but I'll go over those as we get a little bit further in depth. So you'll see I have a little SharePoint site called HR Assassins, so I'm going to click on that, and this is the home page for the site. Now I just built a quick little sandbox. We'll get into building pages further on, so make sure you stay tuned. So what we're going to do real quick is we're just going to build a list. So a list is really just an Excel spreadsheet embedded in SQL, or embedded into the SharePoint server. And it operates a lot like an Excel spreadsheet, and it also operates a little bit like Access. So there's really a lot of things you can do with it, and you can link lists, and you can send out links to things, and you can visualize. So lots of great stuff. But again, we're just going to start real slow, real easy. So from your site page, okay, this is my HR Assassins site page. You would have something like an S1 site page. We're just going to click on this site content. Now you can either click on this site content here on the left that I've got highlighted, or if you go up to the gearbox here on the top right hand side, you'll see the settings. And if you click on that little box, you'll see that there's a site contents link here. They go to the same place. So we're going to click on either one of those, and what you have is sort of the file explorer of your SharePoint site, right? And so documents, we'll get into that later. What we're going to do now is we're just going to build a new list. So everything that's on this site is located here. All right, this is your hard drive, your file explorer. This is where you keep everything. And you can see I've already created a couple of lists here, and I'll get into those a little bit further in the lesson. So what we're going to do is we're just going to click New and List. And so what comes up is the opportunity to create a list. It's all buttons and very, very intuitive. So as you look at the bottom, there's some templates there. I've used a couple of them. I think they can be useful for certain situations. An issue tracker is really useful for projects that have a lot of tasks that you want to accomplish. The asset manager is really a good serial number type of thing. So if you've got a large hand receipt in your office and you want to sort of modernize that and sub hand receipt your computers and things like that, you could do that there as well. But for the purpose of this, what we're going to do is we're just going to create a blank list. Okay, we're going to name it. Okay, so for this, we're going to be a Brigade S1. Okay, so I'm going to say the Brigade S1 Awards Tracker. Okay, and in the description, I don't like to leave anything blank when I'm filling in all my filling in all these options in SharePoint. It helps for discoverability. So in the description, I was going to say, my brigade, whatever that is, 1st Brigade, 2nd Brigade, awards tracker, and then maybe garrison or deployed or whatever. And so the Insight navigation button simply means, will a button for this or a link for this appear on the left-hand side of your screen where you see site content and recycle bin. So you can leave it as a yes, or you can uncheck it. Either way, you can go back and modify it. All right, so we're going to click create. So what we have now is a view. Okay, this is a view of the list, but we've built no columns and we have no data in those rows. So we're going to start to build out our columns, which is essentially the same thing as going into Microsoft Excel and across the top of your screen, labeling it name, rank, etc., etc., etc. But we're able to do validation and formatting all at the same time, okay? Which is something that Excel doesn't really let you do. You have to name it and then go in and format it. This allows you to kind of do it all in one spot. So from here, there's 2 ways to do it, but the quickest way is to click on this gearbox again, and now you see list settings, okay? So now we're going to click on list settings, and it's going to take us into the list. So this is the URL for which you are created your tracker. All right. So this portion here is the name of the list. Okay. And this is the view, which we just saw earlier, but there was nothing on it, which also correlates to the views down here. Now we'll get into visualization on the next lesson, but for now we're just going to build the list. So right now we have a title. All right, every time you create a list, it's going to default to look just like this. And so you'll notice that it's got a name, title, it's a single line of text, and it's required. So what we're going to do is we're just going to open that one up and modify it. Otherwise, because you can't delete it, right? You can't go in there and say, I don't want that column anymore. And so rather than have an empty column with no data in it, we just go ahead and rename this one. So I click on it, and I'm going to put name. But I always put... for this case, we're going to put recommended soldier. Okay, and then we'll put last, first, middle initial, and then enter, or I'm sorry, block 1, maybe it's 3 of DA 638. Now what this does is it tells the user when they're inputting from the view, it tells the user precisely what they need to put in there. So you're telling them the format. Okay, so if you wanted it to be all caps, or if you want to do first name, middle initial, last name, you could do it that way as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just highlight this because I'm going to keep using this reference every time I create a block. Okay, so we saw that it requires information, so we're going to click no. All right, and the reason we're clicking no now is because if we were to import later, if we were to just take all the data from a current Excel tracker, we'd want everything to be no, and we'd want everything to be a single line of text. Once we've imported the data, then we can go in and change the options for those columns. We can make it a choice column, a date column, a lookup column, a calculated view. We can do all of those things later if we're importing. But in this exercise, we're going to build from scratch, and we're going to start entering from scratch, meaning we're not taking the Excel tracker that the old NCO used. We're creating a brand new one starting from scratch. Okay, and then you can enter the number of characters, right? So if you like we all know rank is only 3 characters. So we could say we only want it to be 3 characters. They can't put more than that. And then a default value. Obviously, this is a default value is that whenever a record is created, whenever a row is created, that value will automatically go in there unless you change it, manually change it. And then we talk about column formatting. We're going to stay away from JSON right now. We'll do some, when we do some visualization of the list, we'll do some formatting through that. And it's a little bit easier that way if you're not familiar with JSON. So we're going to click OK. Right, so now we have one column, right? We have recommended soldier. Now, real quick, just to go over this modified, created, and so on, we don't want to take those away. Modified and created is going to tell you that modified is the last date it was touched or updated. Created means the day you actually built that record. That date will never change. Created by obviously tells you who did it, right? So which user was logged in when the record was created. And modified lets you know the last person to update it. That can be very useful if something is wrong. You can pinpoint exactly who you need to go talk to about why they didn't enter something correctly. So we all know that every S1 or every G1 has their own tracking system, how they want to see things. So this is just how I would do it. This isn't to say this is the only way. You can add more columns. You can not track as many things as I do. It's totally up to you. But for the purpose of what we're going to learn here today, I'm going to take you some of the things that I've done in the past and sort of the methodology as to why I created that. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create more columns, right? So we're going to create a column. All right, and we're going to call this one rank. Okay, so we want to know the rank of the individual. Now, you can do a couple things. You can leave a single line of text and an individual can enter whatever data they want. You can also make it a choice menu. Okay. Now, a choice menu, you're probably familiar with in Excel, is like a validation rule. So you're going to say enter the recommended soldier's rank, and then block whatever of the 638, right? And down here, you can put in the choices. So you can say PV1, PV2, PFC, specialist, etc. You saw those lists that I created before. Right? That when I first opened up, there was a couple of lists there you saw, right? I'll take you back and show you real quick. You saw these lists here. These are called lookup lists. And so what these are common things that I reference all the time. You're constantly having to put rank. You're constantly having to pick your unit. You're constantly having to pick other things. So rather than have to recreate that, rather than have to retype rank out every single time I create a tracker, I just create one list called rank. And then from that, I can reference it in this table, much like you do in Excel and like many of you have probably done in Access. So rather than click choice and type this all out over and over and over again every single time, I just simply create that list. And then from here, I'll do a lookup, which means this information already exists on the site. Okay, so they're going to have a choice to pick. So we're going to pick a lookup. We've entered the description. We do not want it to require information right now. We can go change that, right? Where do we want to get the information from? I want to get this from the lookup rank table, right? And what column do I want to get? I want to get the rank abbreviated. Okay, now you can also say you want to see other things because there are other columns on that table, that lookup rank table. For example, rank description. So if I want to not only say SPC, but I want it to spell out specialist, I can include that on this list, this awards list. But I don't want to do that. All right. And then I want to add it to my default view. So again, the view that initially had nothing on it, that blank page, that's the default view right now. So we're going to go ahead and click add to default view, and we're going to click OK. Now, to show you how that worked, if I click on that view, okay, and I start to enter somebody's information, edit in grid view just means it looks like a spelled spreadsheet. So if I put Jones, Johnson, or Jones Joe, when I go to click rank, all my choices are already in there. Okay? So I don't have to pick a a choice, it's already picking it for me. Okay? So, just to show you how that worked. All right, so now we're going to go back to, and this mouse is horrible. Now we're going to go back and we're going to pick a couple, we're going to start creating a couple more columns. All right, so we have their rank, we have their name, we have what? Recommended award. Okay, again, single line of text, you can do a drop-down menu, whatever you want. I've already built a lookup table for this because in this specific tracker, you want to have what they were submitted for and what was approved. So rather than create that twice, which you could easily do, just copy and paste, or you just go to a calculated view. Okay, so recommended award, and then block whatever the 6 through 8. And I'm sorry, it's a lookup value. Okay, again, it's not required. I want to go to the lookup award type, and I want to pick from the type of award. Okay. Now, if you've noticed here, I've got award description, so I've spelled out Army Achievement Medal. Okay, and so we click OK. And again, just to show you how it looks, right? It's automatically added to the default view, right? We talked about that. And now Jones CW3, when he gets recommended for an award, what are the choices? Okay. So we'll go back to the settings. Now that's the last time we're going to look at that to show you how that works. But I think you get the idea. So now we've got rank, we've got who, what rank they are, what kind of award they're getting, what's the reason. Award reason. Okay. Again, this is going to be a lookup because we already know that. We're going to say reason for award submission, blank, block whatever, the 6 through 8. I want to go to award reason. It's going to refresh, and I want to see the reason. Okay? Boom. What else do we need to know? Oh, probably need to know what unit they're in, right? Unit. So I created one for that as well. Okay. Recommended soldiers battalion, because we're a brigade, right? So we go down here, we go to unit, and we're going to go to unit short, okay? Because I know that unit short is going to be how you would normally see it on a tracker. Unit, excuse me, unit. The unit name is going to be the, 1st Battalion, 2nd Infantry, blah blah blah. Okay, we want to add it to the default views, of course. Okay, I definitely got to buy a new mouse. Okay, so who, where, why, what, and rank. So what's another thing we track? Oh, the PPD. So now we're going to get into some dates. Okay, so we want to do a date and time. Enter the proposed presentation date. Okay, now we're going to say it's not required right now. We want date only. We do not want a default value, and we want to see it on the default view. Now, when we get into this a little bit further, PPD is not something that I would have it be required. But it all depends on how you do awards. So in some cases, I would just wait, as the NCOIC or the HR tech, I would wait till we got the award to log it. In other organizations, I would take all of the losses that we had, ETSs, retirements, and PCSs, and I would preload those individuals onto the awards portal, and then the unit could log into the portal and update their individual type of award in the PPD, and that would sort of create suspenses and things like that. But you can either require that it's there or not require that it's there, But again, because we're talking about preloading information, we're going to say it's not required. All right, so we've done all that. Click OK. Okay. So now what else do we need to know? We need to know when we got it, right? So we're going to say date received. Now some people might say, why don't you just use the date created? Again, it goes back to how you do awards. If you're preloading awards for the battalions to kind of be a loss tracker and an awards tracker, you wouldn't want to do that. But if not, then the date received could be the date and time that it was that the record was created. Okay, so I used to say date award received at Brigade S1, and then I'd put does not change. Okay, because I don't want them changing the date I got the award. Even if I kick it back, I don't want them to change that date. Okay. Now, how else did I do? Now I need to know when I got it. Now I need to know where it is. So I would put location. Okay. And this is going to be a choice. Again, you can either have a lookup table for this if you're doing actions and stuff like that. But sometimes awards and actions go in different directions, so you might not use the same list. Okay. Where is award physically at? Okay. And this should be congruent with date forward and status. That'll make sense in a minute. So what is the current location? So is it at the Brigade S1? Is it at the Battalion S1? Is it at Command Group? Is it at Division, G1, HRC? You get the idea. Where is the award going to be at? Now, I will say, don't have too many choices, right? Try and lump things together. You don't need Battalion XO, Battalion Sergeant Major, Battalion Commander. Just see Command Group. All right, it's in a folder and it's over there somewhere. All right, we do want drop-down menu. So when you click on the button, just like you saw in the previous, it's going to be it's going to give you the box. Boom, you click the one you want. We do not want fill-in choices. What this means is you didn't think of everything, right? So in this particular instance, we don't want fill-in choices because we don't want individuals to be able to just put in whatever they want. We want them to have to pick, okay? But fill-in choices might be good for an actions tracker, right? Or maybe remarks or something like that. So what it means is that you haven't conceivably thought of every choice in the drop-down menu, so you want to give them the option to type in their own text. Okay, so we're going to say no in this instance. And we don't want a default view. Now, you could put Brigade S1 as your default view. That would make sense because if you're entering it and you're receiving it and you're entering it, it would default to Brigade S1. Once you've changed it, it will never go back. It will never default back to Brigade S1. So that would actually be something to think about. So we're going to click OK. So we talked about the location. So now we're going to say date forwarded. Okay, we're going to pick a date. When did the award move? And you can say congruent with loc and status. Again, I'll get into that in a little bit. So no, date and time only, no format, add to default view. Okay. And we're going to create one more. You guessed it, status. What is the status? Now we're going to do a choice. What is the current status of the award? Congruent with loc and date forwarded. Okay, so again, you can have as many as you like. More isn't always better, but I would say pending sig, cert for sig. So maybe your organization signs the 638 and then does the certificate. returned for correction. Review. That's like your default catch, right? It's your article 134. Hey man, it's in review, which means it's just sitting in somebody's inbox in the one shot. Oh, you know what we do need though? Actually, now that I think about it, we need approved or disapproved. Okay. Those are good ones. That's a good thing to know. Okay. And then finally, we have all of that information. We also want to have the date it was completed. So date complete. Okay, and that's going to be real simple. Boom. Enter the date the award was approved, disapproved, or withdrawn. That never happens. Not required, date only, etc., etc. Click OK. And the last one is approved award. Approved award. Okay. But again, we have that lookup table, right? So we don't have to keep entering all those. We have to put all those choices in again. So we're going to go lookup. What was the approved award? And that would be block, I don't know, 40 something. And then we're going to say award type. And we're going to pick type of award. Okay. And boom. Okay. Now, if we go look at this view, we've got all those boxes checked. Okay. And so we're going to click OK. Okay, so here's the view, right? You watched as we put in the name, the rank, and the award. And now we've created all those other columns. We've added them to the default view. The all items was the default view. So what we're going to do now is just click on this, and we're going to fill in the rest of these blanks. Okay, so you saw that we picked a lookup for the award reason. These are the choices. So we're going to say it's for service. We're going to say that CW3 Jones is from the artillery. The proposed presentation date, we're going to say is the 3rd of December. The date we got it was yesterday. Another good reason not to use date created is the date received, because Specialist Schneffe didn't do it when he was supposed to. It's at the Brigade S1. It hasn't been forwarded anywhere. It's still here, so it's blank. And the status is review. It's not complete, and it's not an approved award. Okay, so there's your awards tracker. Pretty easy, right? But what we're going to do is just tidy up this view real quick, and then we're going to call it a day, and we'll move on to other visualization projects. From this menu, here is this little icon over here. This little drop-down menu gives you the choices for your view. So you can do a list view, which is what you see here. You can compact it, tighten it up a little bit if you got a lot of stuff, and you can do a gallery, and you can have these little cards going across. That's really cool for, I don't know, contacts. Like if you have points of contact, that looks pretty cool, but it doesn't really work for this. All right, and then you can also, this is the view we're in, and you can create a new one. You can save this one as, or you can edit it current. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit this current view, and we're going to change the name from all items to pending, because I don't need an all items. Okay, and then I changed the URL. So if you remember earlier, I said that this was the list and this was the view. Well, it's the same thing. So since we're looking at pending awards, right, we don't want to see anything that's approved. So just to show you that this works, is since it's pending, I don't need to see if it's complete or the approved award, because I know that it's not. So there shouldn't be any data in those fields anyway. So having them displayed on the screen is pointless. And I also want to see this I want to see this organized differently. So if you look here, it says position from left to right. All right. So as we looked at the screen earlier, recommended soldier was the first thing we saw, but that's not how we do it, right? So we're going to put rank first, and then we're going to order these in the way we want to see them from left to right on the screen of that view. So we want to see the rank, the soldier. We want to see the recommended award, the reason for it. You know what? I think we want to put unit 3rd. We know what unit they're in. And then we want to see the proposed presentation date, the day we got it, where it's at, when it moved, why it moved, and that's it. Now we've got a great view. Okay, so we're going to click OK. And now we've changed the arrangement of our view. Last thing is we're gonna create one more. We're gonna create one more record. All right. I don't care what rank you pick. All right. There's always a Major Smith. All right. He's gonna be from the infantry battalion. He's gonna be getting a cab for service. PPD is going to be 5th of November. Remember, we got it today. It's at the Brigade S1, and it's for review. Okay, so now we've got these, and from this view, you can sort these, right? You can say, I want to see them in ascending order. So it puts 1-1 at top. You can set it by rank, just like you would in Excel, right? But what we're going to do is we're going to group these things together in our view. So this is one of the visualization tools that we talked about. And I just wanted to show you this so you can start putting some fictitious people in here. So we're going to go back and we're going to edit this current view. Okay. And so we still want to see unit, but because we're going to group it by unit, I don't need to see it in my display. And this will make sense in a moment. So I'm going to uncheck unit, and then I'm going to come all the way down here, and I'm going to group it by unit. Okay, and we're going to click OK. Now you see all of the 1-1s are grouped together, and all of the 871 FA are grouped together. So that's a way to visualize it a little better. Now we're going to add one more award, but this one's going to be a complete award. Okay, so we're going to go into new. Oh, wait a minute, this is not in the right order. Okay, let's get out of that. Let's fix that, because we want that to go in a specific order when they enter it, right? As you look down the 638, you want it to go in that order. So let's go back to settings real quick. List settings. And right here, this is currently the order in which they are presented when you try to enter data. Well, except for the created and modified by. So we want to put these in order as you would look at the 638. So you get it, and you're going down the screen looking at the 638. So we can do column ordering here. And if we do column ordering, we can say from the top of the menu as you're entering it, this is how you're going to see it. So we always go rank first, then the soldier, then we're going to put the unit. Okay, then the recommended award, reason, PPD, the date I got it, where it's at, why it went there. I'm sorry, where it's at, when it went there, why it's there, complete and approved award. Now, again, a little bit further, we'll show you how to create a form like this and get rid of the date, complete, and approved award, because you don't want to put those in when you're entering an award. Okay, so now when we go back to our pending view, when we click on new award, it's in the correct order, and it gives you the drop down menu. So we're going to click First Lieutenant. We got Smith, we got Jones, we got I'm a big Game of Thrones fan. Snow John. Okay, he's from the 1 of the 91st. He's getting an RCOM for service. The PPD, we'll put that in the past, 28 September. The date we got it was the 4th of August. The location is currently in the Battalion S1, and it was sent on the, we're going to say the PPD was the 28th, so we're going to say the 10th of September. It was forwarded because it was approved, and the date it was completed was the 9th of September, and it was approved as an RCOM. So we're going to put an approved award on here so we can show you pending versus approved. Okay. So we click Save. Wait a second. What the heck? Oh, we have to filter this. This is our pending view. We have to filter this. I'm a great actor. So we're going to edit the current view. we're going to come down here. We're going to filter this because I only want to see what's pending. So this is real simple. You're going to blow your mind. You come down here to filter, and you say, show all items in this view when the date completed is equal to blank. It's that simple. Okay. Now you could further check your math by saying, and when the status is approved, you would say, and the status is approved, or you would add another one. Let's just do it. I'll show you. When the status is equal to approved, and then show more, or the status is equal to disapproved, right? You could do that as well, but I don't do that. So I'm just going to say none and none. So it's only when the date complete column is blank, show it. So if this works, now we're back to only 1, 1, and 871. Okay. So the last thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new view. We're going to say completed awards. We'll just say completed. How about that? Okay. And now it's got everybody on here again, right? So all we have to do is go edit this view. I want to see the same stuff, but I want to see the date it was completed and the approved award. But I don't want to see them in this order. I want to see them in the other order. So I'm going to put date completed as 10. And I'm going to put approved award as 11. Okay. And I still want to see it by unit. So I'm going to, oh, it's already unchecked. Perfect. So I'm going to come down. Yep. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say, I only want to see when date completed. Whoops. Is not equal to blank. It's that easy. And I'm going to group it by the unit. So this is essentially the same exact view, right, as the pending, except now we're only going to see completed awards, but it's going to add the two columns of what was approved, when it was completed, and it's going to group it by unit. So we come down here and we click OK. And there it is. We have one approved award. Voila. All right. So in summary, we've just created a SharePoint list for awards. This award list was created so that you could enter everything individually. What I'd like you to do for your homework is to go through there and just start adding a few records, maybe 15 or 20 records. Add a couple from each battalion, add a couple approved, a couple disapproved, and then we will, on the next lesson, we will talk about visualization, creating different ways of looking at the data on the screen. We'll be able to format for things that are overdue, things that are late. We can come up with different views for by battalion, and we can even start building a few metrics to determining how long something took from when it was received until it was completed. We can start doing calculated views. So make sure you subscribe, okay? Follow along, and I hope you enjoyed this lesson on SharePoint lists.